Hello, my name is Kiriath, and for Dragon Week, we are going to take a look at 5 dragons not from Games Workshop. Now, Games Workshop may have decided to make this Dragon Week, but you know what, they're not the only ones who make quality dragons, and I happen to be a little bit of a dragon obsessive myself. I do not want to talk about the number of STLs that I have to print, I just need a bigger printer to do them really, that are just dragons, and more dragons, and I also have a bit of a soft spot for Creature Casters offerings as well. So, today we are going to take a look at 5 dragons. And the thing is, they come at a nice range of prices. We've got a really expensive one, a very, very expensive one, all the way down to a simple STL file that will cost only 15 of your hard-earned dollars, so even less if you are dealing in Great British pounds. Let's take a look at some of my favourite dragons that are not from the halls of Games Workshop themselves. First up, we could not start any conversation about dragons without mentioning the Necromancer dragon from Creature Caster. Now, I do not have one of these. I genuinely wish that I did, but it is quite the proposition. This is the most expensive model that Creature Caster makes. It is also the biggest and one of the most impressive by far. Look at that lad. Look at the size. Look at the sheer scale of this guy. It's an incredibly impressive model. It is entirely cast in resin, it's not plastic, also not metal, although admittedly if it was metal you could probably actually murder someone with it by accident. But this is a model that, I wouldn't even class this as a miniature at this point. It just has a stunning amount of detail. They've done an outstanding job of making this. There's so many interesting textures. There's so many little details all over. It is nightmarish and kind of twisted in a way, but it's still close enough to just your standard dragon that I think you could get away with using it as a good number of different things. This is one of those rare models where there is nothing on here that I don't like, but then again, you would hope that would be the case due to the price. It is just overall an absolutely stunning miniature, and I kind of want this to stick around so that one day I might be able to properly splurge and grab one of these. I really hope that they do not end up disappearing. As you can see, 14.5 inches tall. That is ridiculous. That is a massive model. There's just so much detail, so many little details, so many patterns and textures, and oh, it's just so good. It's just so good. And the thing is, I've had a few Creature Caster models, and they have all been pretty damn easy to assemble. I mean, it being Creature Caster, generally speaking, their casts are really, really good. I had a couple of issues with my Plague Dragon, admittedly, but that was a much older sculpt, much older mold than this one is. And from what I've seen of this model being put together, it's surprisingly painless for something this big. Even the base, they've gone above and beyond. Obviously, a little bit of green stuff in the gaps there just to fill it up, but overall, just an absolutely stunning model that I think despite the price tag, I still really want it. And when I say the price tag, it is £210. It's a little bit of an ouch. I warned you at the start. I said it was going to be massively expensive. And I was not lying to you. It is very, very costly. It's also massive. It is a big model. So pretty damn expensive, but don't worry, there is one that's closer to Games Workshop's price if you'd already committed yourself to dropping 90-something quid on a big winged lad. That is this. So this is the zombie dragon from Creature Caster. Again, I have the Plague Dragon. It's a similar setup to this one, but more nightmarish. And again, I just love the textures, the details, the gaps in the scales, the exposed musculature underneath. It's a good looking dragon. It's got a nice little throne seat on the back there if you want to throw a miniature up there. I believe it also comes with an alternative section for the back that does not have that. That's how my Plague Dragon came anyway. Not quite of the same absolutely absurd scale, of course, but still pretty solid, and some really nice wings on this one. More kind of rotten, as though they're kind of fading away, and there's bits of skin just falling out. You can see a nice bit of the scales are kind of broken away from the bone at the top of the wing there. Lots of nice little details all over this one. And this one is a lot closer to Games Workshop's price. As you can see, though, still pretty big. Not small, not small. Just about 7 inches, just at the tip of the horn there. Closer to 6 and a bit. But still, that is a pretty solid dragon. And as I said, this one is a bit closer to Games Workshop's price at $96.60. Thing is, that's still quite expensive. Now, if you're looking for something that's a bit more budget friendly but still high quality, then honestly, Archon Studio have got some of the nicest dragons for really not that much money for what they are. So this is Draculus the Cunning, and I mean, of the dragons they do, this is one of my favourites. I've not picked it up yet. I've been eyeing it somewhat jealously. It's plastic as opposed to resin. So in terms of like materials, it's something you're already used to using. It's slightly harder plastic than Games Workshop, I've found. I have assembled one of their dragons and a lot of their terrain. But this one just does it for me. It's got a similar feel to the zombie dragon, but is of course a lot more manageable. Not quite the same size, but yeah, there's some nice texture work. There's some nice scales. There's some nice tearing of the wings going on with Draculus. Overall, I really like this model. And one of the nice things about it is that it's $29. $29 for that. That's not bad. That's really not bad for that size of model and for the quality that it is. And I'm kind of vouching, I guess, for the quality of it because I do have one of their dragons already assembled, another one waiting to be put together. Because the other one that I would highly recommend, because I have one myself and it is class, is this lad, the Xeno Dragon. Yes, it is the Xenomorph, but in dragon form. I put this together on stream and I absolutely loved it. It was actually very nice to assemble, and it looks great. I mean, it may be not specifically brilliant for any sort of fantasy deal, but when it comes to, I mean, I don't know, you could get away with that as a hive tyrant with wings. Surely you could get away with that as a hive tyrant with wings. It fits the bill, and it does look really, really nice. Again, there's lots of nice little details. It's kind of terrifying. I will say the pose is maybe not 100% to my liking, because at that angle at least, it looks like it's about to eat its own tail. From other angles, it looks a bit better, but it's definitely, I can see why they've done it. It makes it imposing and gives it a nice amount of height without it actually resting on something. But it is definitely something that partially suffers in terms of if you're at the wrong angle, it can look a little bit weird. That being said, though, just the concept of a dragon that is also a xenomorph, you can't go wrong, can you? You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Two of the greatest things combined. I really like it. I still need to paint it. We will paint that on stream at some point. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, I can 100% vouch for this, and hopefully show you what the scale is, which also is nice. And I believe there are other dragons at the same price point, so again, $29, I believe they're all effectively the same size. So that gives you a good indication as to the size of Draculus as well. Now finally, if you're feeling fruity in terms of your 3D printing, Bestiara Miniatures, again, I keep throwing their name out all the time, but that's only because they just make so many good models, and I'm classing this as a dragon. It's dragon-esque, right? It's a big lizard with wings. It's got a multitude of arms and hands and claws and the like, which admittedly might make you think that's not technically a dragon, but you know what? I'm prepared to just, throw out there the idea that you can play with the formula. You can play with the formula a little bit. It's such a cool sculpt, but then again, all of their stuff is. I am unapologetically a Bestiara Miniatures fanboy because they make so many cool models. I mean, look at it. Look at it. The scale is already pretty decent. The nice thing, of course, it being 3D printed, if you get the STL, you can just increase the scale yourself. If you want it quite a bit bigger, I reckon you could get away with it with this. There's a lot of smaller details that I think if you blew it up, maybe another 10 or 15% probably, you wouldn't lose anything. It wouldn't end up looking like low detail. I think it would scale up pretty well. Now, I have got this STL. I've yet to print it myself because it's a bit of an undertaking and I've had loads of other stuff that I've wanted to print first. But this is something that is going to be gracing the tabletop at some point. God knows what I'm going to do with it. I just know that I want it. Now, of course, if you don't have a 3D printer, this is a bit more tricky, but there is a veritable wealth of people who will print these things for you on Etsy, including that exact dragon that we just looked at from Bestiara Miniatures, which I saw on here, I think maybe 2 or 3 days ago. There are plenty of variations and varieties and other things that we haven't even covered in this video so that it's not 100 million hours long. I mean, really, I've got to throw out a quick shout out to Lord of the Print because, dear God, there's a lot of dragons available from Lord of the Print. Oh, man. Including, I should have included this. I should have included this lad. This is just being made up on the fly now. The Bloodsucker Dragon, which is just my kind of weird. To be honest, it's just my kind of weird in the same way that the Aladon by Bestiara Miniatures is my kind of weird. I feel like there's a sort of similar concept going on here, but yeah, it's another fine collection of weird and wonderful dragons available in STL form, and as you can see from this Etsy page, a significant number of those already available from other people printing them. So there you go, those are a few of my favourite dragons, alternative to Games Workshop's dragons that are on the way. I mean, it's Dragon Week, we had to have a look at dragons, what else are we going to do? Admittedly, I intended to only show you the 5, but that then increased massively to a good 35 because of having just one glance at Lord of the Prince, My Mini Factory page, because there's so many on there. I tend to steer clear of that particular page, but only because, as STLs go, $15, it's still not a huge amount of money for the size of miniature that you'll get, and of course printing it yourself, it will cost far less than if you have it printed elsewhere or buy a plastic miniature, but there's still something to be said for not buying every single dragon someone has ever sculpted and made an STL of, because it will take you literally forever to get around to printing all of them when you don't have a large printer, and in fact only have 2 smaller ones, which is why I try and steer clear of that page as much as humanly possible. Sometimes I hit it by accident because I'm looking for other models and it just shows up, but you know what? This has already tempted me really badly, and I'm gonna go and get that Bloodsucker Dragon literally the second I finish recording. So, if nothing else, I have made myself buy something. So congratulations, me. Well done. Mission accomplished. But yeah, just wanted to show you a few of my favourites outside of the Games Workshop ecosystem. Any of them grab your fancy? Do you have any recommendations for quality dragons of your own? If so, drop them in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. As always, there's an affiliate link for Element Games if you're in the UK and Europe, and an affiliate link for Noble Knight Games in the US if you would like to support the channel. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.